This is Justin Scoop on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. Taking a look at SPX. We finally actually have bearish day, not by much. Yesterday's bull day was bullish by, what was it, 30 something cents? 33 cents. Today's bearish candle, which it's another high wave candle. What's the difference? I didn't do the math before I started. More than $1.50, somewhere in there. Okay, roughly $1.50. It's right on the midline. Like we got a little bit above yesterday's high, actually got slightly above Friday's high. Remember, Friday was like a half day, um, the 28th here. So we've got some consolidation. We had some consolidation back over here, kind of at the open of the big bear candle, but we're way above that now. So maybe we rest here a little bit. If we get another bear day, another high wave day, it's like, okay, there's going to be some compression going on. So I've got things zoomed out on the 3 minute here, just to kind of show we're going really sideways right now. So here is Friday's half day, here's Monday, here's Tuesday. And so you can just draw a really big like channel across all this and be like, oh, hey, look, we're mostly in that range, right? So that's pretty much what we kept doing today. We actually let me get rid of these channel lines. So we kind of ran into that right here. Okay. And then we got a little bit higher and ran into this, kind of a little bit pushed through it right there. And then we ran into this high right here. So we just did an order: one, two, three, like this. And then looking back, we did one, three, two. So it's just kind of playing out a little different. That wasn't quite a two. There you go. There's two. So one, two, three, and then looking back, one, three, two, just to kind of match up with those levels or where they were. So this is actually a new high out of the last couple of days here. What really we did, actually looking at it today, and I will say, like, hey, we made a move way back down here into kind of yesterday's close, um, not taking out these lower wicks, which would have been like more of like an engulfing move. But what's really cool, and if you look at just kind of what happened from here to the open here, from Friday to Monday over the weekend, we basically repeated that here to here in like what, 15, 20 minutes, whatever that is. We did that drop quick, and I don't know if there was some news or something, but it's like, okay, hey, look, just like I was in this bearish right through here. It's like, okay, if we're getting up here, we're getting back into these levels, look to short it. It just makes sense that we put in so many bull days, like look for the easy trade. It's going to have a harder time pushing higher. It's got to consolidate, it's got to rest. So look for the easy trade for it to break down. And we got it. And then the other thing I'll say, with just zooming in today, this is really clean of kind of like just this angle here. And then it was relatively clean like this. It kind of goes a little steeper this way. But whenever we slice this, it's kind of looking like a megaphone, at least at this point. And with a megaphone pattern, you want to trade the inside of it. So you get up into the high, you short it. You get down into the low, you buy it. That's kind of the framework until that doesn't work. And so, we rallied here. Actually, we rallied, kind of S curved, and then continued up, but we didn't get up into like a megaphone, the high of megaphone anymore. We kind of stopped, obviously. So okay, something different has happened. We pulled back here, broke down again. Okay, we're holding some lows now. Like draw this and draw that. There you go. Like there's the shape of the day. So all that said, let me zoom in on just today and go back to this view, corners for our story corner option. If that never clicked for anybody, that's the idea. Okay, so here's our megaphone like that. Well, I'm also kind of seeing it here in the put, and there is some of it happening on this call. Unfortunately, the call just was more so flat there and then was losing value this way. But there's confluence here. And you can kind of turn this a little steeper, and like I drew that other one. Kind of going steeper that way. Actually, kind of drew like, no, like that. So there's some confluence. There's similar things happening on uh, the 6850 call, the 6800 put, and it gave you some opportunities to set up these trades. Now, because the lows were getting lower here, it's just kind of guessing at where is it actually going to work out. But this worked out to be a pretty straight line here and a pretty straight line here. And you can use that. It's like, okay, if it's, you wouldn't have had the middle, but up here, you would have had this as the high. When it comes into this level here, and is it not quite lined up? I would think that that's, oh, that's the put. Seeing the wrong one. Okay, this one lined up here. You get some lower wicks, you get some resting here. That might be a good opportunity to get in bullish. Well, it actually not get bullish. I'm saying it backwards. My bad. We can reset. Okay. When we're up here and we're running into the next level of the highs here in the call, that's where to look for the put to get in on the put. And then this runs down and lines back up with this. That's where to get out of the call. I'm sorry, get out of the put and get into the calls. And that didn't exactly work here, this place here. We went sideways quite a bit because it had to get going bullish again. And that the market makers are not giving up that premium. They weren't letting the price inflate. Like definitely it did have some value come into it. So if I go back to just this option and zoom in, like this did have some good movement from the actual low, but then it really chopped through here and probably chopped some people out looking for like a quick move up and just got out of it. But you could have been in this at two. Um, Over here at the low, you could have been in at like 150. But buying here at two and just doubling up to four, that still would have worked. But that may not have been your target if you were expecting it to have a bigger move back up into the high around nine or so. It just didn't have the strength to keep going back up there. And we were running back into uh, just some of those previous levels. So let me get back to Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So this level here, we're pushing back up into kind of this upper wick here. So I'm just seeing some symmetry going back and forth. I guess if I had to say that would be like a four, and now we're into four. So if I put the numbers back on, so here's a one, and here's the one, and then here's the two, and then here's the three, right? And so this was the three up here, and this was the two. And then if you say, okay, this is the four, I'm sorry, let me do it this way. Here's the four. Okay, here's the four. We're just having some symmetry. So like today versus looking back, what are we running back into? And then here's a four again, same level as that four. So we're just kind of playing off some kind of horizontal resistances, which is more of kind of like channeling or something. So whenever I'm seeing that, one of the big things I'm doing is I'm going back into my chart with the fibs. So I'm going to bring this up again over on my other screen. Here we go. Okay. So let me turn off. No, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. This is the old one. Here's the newer one. Okay. So the zero is way down here at this pullback, going back to August 1st. And then I've got the 100% set at basically the highs through here, going to, I think it was August 15th. No, August 13th. So across those days, I've never done a fib of time. I should look at that. But across those days, we had a really nice move here. What's really funny is I haven't looked up higher so much because we keep running into this range. But I just realized the three value, oh, it doesn't show it there, the 300% of that. So here's 100, 200, 63, 673, 10. And the 300% is right at exactly 700. Now, again, this is the SPY plus 0.01. So this is off by penny. So if we get up to an SPY 699.99, then this will be right on. Like it'd be crazy if we get there and like don't actually hit 700. This will be spot on. But what I've got in the levels here is basically we did this twice. We dropped from the 200 back down to the 1.272. We rallied from there all the way back up into this range, the area that's the 2.382, the 2.5, and the 2.618. We really chopped around through here. And so this is the same chop, and I'm going to kind of zoom in on it because the colors, just the way I've got the colors, it's harder to see the distinctions here. But I am looking for some levels to kind of hold us up here, not hold us up, hold as resistance here, here, and here, just based on these fibs. Now we held at this spot on a close that day. We've used this as resistance here, stayed a little bit below it yesterday, pushed a little bit through, and then sold off from there today. So the same levels that I'm seeing with the 1, 2, 3, 4, I just did on the 3 minute. If you look back, I just did that between today and the last 2 days, right? If you look back, there's actually levels that warrant it going back to how this moved intraday. And I can look at that on this chart if I can switch this back off. And then we're going to go into, let's look at a 15 minute. And we're going to go back in time and go back over here. Okay, so here's some of the movement. So the white area or the lighter is when the market's open. The blue is the after hours, and then kind of this yellowish is the pre-market of the next day. So if we look at some of these levels here, that one's not a great example of holding that level. Here we go. So we ran right into the 50% level right here, pre-market, and sold off from that day. We came right into the 618, sold sharply off during that day, came right into the 382. And then some of these other days, we kind of held that as resistance, held resistance here, broke through, retested. So you go back to some of these videos, go back into October, and look at, whichever days of those I actually looked at the SPY chart showing this. And I don't recall which ones, but if I spend some time on this, then I usually put SPY in the description of the title of the video. So that makes it easy to find anywhere late October, early November. Um, looking back at these levels through here and just seeing like, hey, look, this is actually working. And then, through this, you can see how these things move. Like, look at this. If you had this on your chart, this level here, the 673.10, and you sold it here, you sold off that level. By the end of the day, it's like you're up nicely. It had a $3 move back down from there, basically on that day. And then we got all the way back down to this level and rallied from there. So it's like it's just helping me give a framework when we've had so much sideways action. Because when we're going sideways, your trend channels aren't working as well. It's just so I've got some old ones in here where I was looking at stuff intraday. It's like, is that going to hold the next day? No, that's not really doing anything. So I can actually get rid of that. This was one that was a little bit off. I think there was a news thing this day. But basically this double topped right here with the neckline being that level. And then sold off sharply, getting back into this was the big day. Yeah, this was the big one that just happened. The big selling candle. I don't know why I'm like, oh yeah, some news thing. Well, yeah, it's just a sharp selling day. If I zoom way out, I have to go back further. Let's go to an hourly. And this is where you can see a lot of comparisons of where we sold off from on these days. This was holding really, 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 really nicely here. Sharp sell off that day. The arrow doesn't even give it justice or do it justice. It's really sharp. Really, if I can trust her, really strong sell off there. And then for this one over here, we actually were kind of pushing through this a little bit. So we weren't holding this level as strong, but we were getting to this. And then that's, again, if I could just draw this straight sometimes, that's the same price we sold off from. So we sold off a little bit higher and dropped not quite as far because this includes some after hours. But yeah, had a really strong sell off there. And then we had so much choppiness and consolidation through this, we just blew straight through that. Like, really, if you look at this in terms of fractal setup and that kind of stuff, and this is, I think I talked through some of this before. But a lot of the choppiness here, you can see is just happening a lot quicker. So like this consolidation here, well, that was really, I guess this, that looks the same. And then this stuff down in here between these lower levels, like that was probably this. And then we had some extra stuff in between, even pulling way back. We just didn't even get this time. We didn't have like this V bottom shape in between those. We didn't, the only pulling back we had was that day, that pre-market there. So they don't line up exactly, but the big catalyst was this big selling this day, and then we've moved much stronger out of that. But all of that is to me is fitting within the the sideways, fitting within these levels. So this is what I'm going to continue to look for, just to give me some framework. Now I do have the blue and black lines. I did make an adjustment, so not an adjustment to it, but I've got on the weekly. You can see how the blue one kind of followed this other previous one, and then I did actually let it show up on a monthly. And I have not made any adjustments to this on a monthly, even though on the monthly you can see, okay, maybe the resistance works, but then the support, we kind of cut through this. Maybe, I tried to set up something with the low here to see would that work. I still need to review this more and see what really works on a monthly, because there might even be just a different angle. If I look at it from much further back, I've got a whole different SPY chart that I've got from years ago that I've got some levels in, and it's not on trading. I don't think it's on trading. But anyway, uh, I am once again all talked out. I need to save my voice. So I hope this helps. Just kind of going through the megaphone from today and seeing some of these values, seeing some of these levels. I had some stuff going on today, and I did not trade. I exited a spread, a bear call spread. So I was happy to get out of that. It pulled back a little bit today with the bearishness. So I was out of that. Um, and so, yeah, the rest of this is just kind of looking at these levels and trying to figure out, okay, what exactly are we doing? How long do we have to wait? The one other thing I'll say with this is you got the megaphone here, but then you could technically you can connect some of this going this way. And so what started as a megaphone today turned into some consolidation, which technically, if you draw this all out, it's more of like a diamond pattern, which I am not super familiar with, but I think there's some symmetry stuff within this pattern. Um, and so even if you just look at this as two, megaphone versus the symmetric triangle, what I'm seeing here is we broke out of that, retested pretty close to kind of the apex here. And the next thing would be some bullishness. Um, if we're going to continue up. So I think the first challenge is going to be getting through 6850 or getting through the same level, the same percent, the fib levels on the SPY chart that I was just showing. So just rewind a minute or two and take a look back at those levels. But yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. There's definitely some setup of we could really run, especially now after two sort of high wave, well, very much high wave candles, a bearish candle, bullish candle, um, going from today and yesterday. That might be enough of a rest just going sideways. And so we could totally push through from here. We did have a candle like that on this day, um, but it's not looking exactly like back there either. So, um, and then we got the purple line here, which now we've actually closed above it a couple of days here. Not yesterday, but the day before. This day closed above. This day closed above. So that's enough of a rest right here that we could just continue to run up. So be wary where your positions are, and make sure you understand that and you know the risk you're taking. Hope this helps. This is Justin. Thanks.